Hello, welcome. It is me, Danyell Carmelita, your favorite tarot reader and astrologer. Welcome to another episode of Zodiac Reads, Books Aligned with the Stars. Zodiac Reads is a book series where astrology meets literature. Each episode dives into a zodiac sign's energy and themes. Then I match the book, mostly fiction, to the zodiac's energy. Whether it's moody, whether it's fantasy, whether it's nature, I will help you find the perfect read that goes with the zodiac's energy. And today we are talking about Cancer. This is actually the second episode on Cancer. The first one I actually did on the summer solstice and books aligned with that. Today in this episode, since we are talking about the lovely Cancer, which is all about your history, your family roots, your memory, and emotional depth. Because of that, it is perfectly aligned with going into historical fiction. Also, there's creativity added to that, which is all water signs. Cancer is ruled by the moon, connected with ancestry, heritage, the past, your home, with that deep emotion, and lineage. If you are captivated with stories rooted from the past, tales of legacy and lineage, even memories that refuse to fade, this episode was made for you.
3, 2, 1.
I love you. So let me just explain quickly why Cancer is connected to history. Again, I said earlier that Cancer is ruled by the moon. So there is this energy of mom. There is this energy of moodiness. They said all about Cancer. I am a Cancer sun, so I do take that personally. But it is ruled, it is a water sign, water holds memory. The Cancer energy is always looking in the past too. It's never forgetting, hence why I have a tattoo that says Sankofa, know your past so you won't repeat it in your future. And it's actually a bird that can touch his back. His head can touch his back. The Cancer energy, nostalgia, it's a time for reflection. There's feminine power because it's a very feminine sign, but it's also very loyal, which connected to that history aspect. And that's why historical fiction works really well with Cancer. Cancer energy too never wants to let go of things. There's positive reasons on why you should know your history. At the same time, you don't want to be stuck in your history. That's a whole nother video. Whole nother episode, but here we go. Just know that Cancer is the keeper of memory. The moon governs our memory, our subconscious, and our emotional tides. And historical fiction is tied into the past eras, family legacies, and even some personal or collective trauma. Cancer energy is very nostalgic and it likes to preserve a lot of things. So when I say that, I mean like preserving the forgotten voices and also this emotional archival. For example, like an old photo or a recipe passed down from the family bloodline. Now, if you love stories rooted in history, home, emotional truth, then you'll want to stay in this loop here, okay, that I provided. How do you stay in this loop? Well, you can do two things and they are completely free. You can subscribe to this channel and you can sign up for my newsletter. Both of those things are free. In my newsletter, I give you the weekly transits. I keep you up with the vibe in the sky, which are basically predictions. And then also I give you even some bonus tips on how to work with these energies that we have. It's currently in the sky. Now, subscribing means that you love this video. You love talking about astrology and you're also a book lover. And you're like, wait a minute, where else can I get this? So you want to subscribe. Also, give me my flowers. I'm here. It's free to say that you love this content. So go ahead. Why not? Also, if you're like, okay, I love the free stuff. What else do you have? I have an exclusive community. Since Cancer rules emotional bonds and a family, there's like this exclusive family and we talk about astrology. There's a lot of kitchen talk, which is very Cancer energy. And it's very honest and raw when we break down anybody's chart, whether they are political or a celebrity or even the vibe in the sky. We go a little bit deeper than the surface level that I have to do, on certain platforms. So if you want to check out those things, check the link down below. Now let's talk about some historical fiction books that are very Cancer themed because historical fiction books are Cancer themed. Actually, before we even get into the books, I want to do some honorable mentions. I have a handful here. I have Gabriel's Moon. Any book about the moon is very Cancer. Again, a young man hunted by his memories of fire that took his mother's life. If that's not Cancer, then I don't know what. I got this at my local library. And it is by William Boyd. Another book is not a historical fiction, but it's a historical book, and it's a national bestseller. It's called The Warmth of Other Suns, and it's about the Americans' Great Migration. I have not read this book because I'm a little intimidated, but I have read several books like this, and I'm going to take my time and read this one here. But yes, it's by Isabel Walkerson, and she won the Pulitzer Prize. Profound, necessary, and absolute delight to read. Toni Morrison. Who doesn't love Toni Morrison? Another honorable mention is The Covenant of Water by Abraham. And this book is it's in the years of 1900 to 1977, and it follows 3 generations of a Christian family in Kerala. I don't know if I'm saying that right, South India. And yeah, there's more deepness into it, but family lineage and generations. And it's so funny because another book I'm reading, the person who wrote the foreword to The Love's a Song by W.E. Du Bois wrote a recommendation for this book. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But it is called The Covenant of Water. And water, very Cancer thing. Another book that I got from my local library, it is called Homeland in Elegies, a novel. And this is about basically 9/11, a deeply personal work about identity and belonging in a nation coming apart at the seams. Homeland Elegies blends fact and fiction to tell an epic story of longing and disposition in the world that 9/11 made. Part family drama, part social essay, part novel. This is very interesting. Cancer represents your home, even your country, your nation. Now, this is a book that I'm currently reading now. It's called Harlem Rhapsody, and it is by Victoria Murray. And yeah, I thought, because it says co-author of The Personal Librarian, I thought this book was about a librarian, which is very interesting. It is about W.E. Du Bois, which we were just talking about earlier. And the person who wrote a foreword for their book did a recommendation for The Covenant of Water. And anyway, I thought it was about a librarian, and actually, being that I have a Venus in Gemini, you would thought like, oh, about a librarian, you would like it. No, and I love the library too, in bookstores. But I was like, no, that's going to be boring. This is so far so good. Yeah, but basically like love affair with W.E. Du Bois, who is married, historical fiction, and is written really good so far. Then next, another honorable mention is The Fraud by Zadie Smith. I read another book by Zadie Smith. I think it's called Beauty or White Teeth. I don't remember, but this was in 1873, and I think it's in Jamaica. Andrew Boyd, meanwhile, grew up enslaved on the Hope Plantation, Jamaica. You know, and I haven't read any books about anything Jamaican, so this is really good. I actually got this from a bookstore in LA called The Lost Bookstore, I think it's called, and it's all thrift bookstores. All thrift books. They said they had new books, but I only saw thrift books. But here you go. Is there any more? Okay, so I have 3 more. This is Love in the Time of Cholera. This, I would think, is it a classic? I would think so. And the person who wrote this book, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, is the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. I read this book a long time ago, and I even saw the movie. This was 100% an A+, but this is a period piece. It's about love and romance from what I remember. 51 years, 9 months, and 4 days after he first declared his love for Mina, he will do so again. I know that this is a historical fiction. Another book that I read, and this is not a historical fiction, they made a movie out of it. This is so good. I think this is based on a true story. New York Times bestseller. This is about a Native American family who became rich because they actually were put on a plot of land that was that had a lot of oil, and then white men came and tried to take over their money, and the women were owning it. So like they married the Native American women to take over their whole finances and their money and their riches. This is 100% a 5-star read. I read this a long time ago, actually years ago, maybe over 7 years ago. It's called Killers of the Flower Moon, National Book Award by David Grann. This is so good, and it's American history. Another one, this other book is, I didn't consider this a historical fiction, but it is. And I put this in my Gemini book video because you are talking about siblings, and it's called The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and it's about 2 siblings. They are both Black. I think they're twins from what I remember, and one of them goes off as passing, pretending that she lives in a white world, and the other one is like you know, I'm black. They're both black and white from what I understood. And one goes off of just pretending she's white. And the other one just says, you know, what she is, black. Really written very well. Love this book. Even though those were honorable mentions, and a lot of them are really hardcore about history and relating, besides the Moon book. That one's really more of an honorable mention. I have some other books here. There's a lot of them. Okay, so let's just, we'll actually start with this one. This is called Ours. It's a novel by Philip B. Williams. And let me see, this ingenuous, sweeping novel introduces us to a woman named Saint in the 1830s in a plantation in Arkansas, and she rescues people who are enslaved there. She brings those she has freed to a heaven of her own creation, a town just north of St. Louis, magical concealed outsiders named Ours. Oh, so this is about set over the course of 4 decades and steeped in a rich tradition of American literature. There's surrealism, there's spirituality, there's mythology. It's like there's magic, and there's historical facts in here too. The historical themes are also in this book too. The person who wrote The Vanishing Half gave great reviews about this book. This is a very thick book though. Oh my gosh, look at this. The breakdown of the pages. Can you see that? That's interesting. And there's different parts. Maybe it's just on that page. The chapter seems short. I haven't heard anything about this book, but the cover is amazing. Okay, so let's talk about the GOAT. The current GOAT of historical fiction right now. I feel like right now you cannot talk about historical fiction without talking about Krista Hanna. This one is the first book I read by her, and it is The Nightingale, and it's about the Holocaust, and it deals with 2 siblings. And this one I finished this year, and it's called The Women. This actually just came out, right? And this is about the Vietnam War. There is drugs involved. There is grief involved. Very well written. She's a great author. The Nightingale is about World War II. So I don't know if all her books about different wars. Definitely recommend most of her books because she's a great writer. Another one we have is, Philippa Gregory. I used to read all her books. I feel like I read most of them. One of them is called The Other Bowling Girl. Her novels focus on English royal history, you know, like the Tudor and all that stuff. Yeah, and love and romance. Really loved all her books, and I used to read her books like 12 years ago. She's also good. Another person here, we have Colson Whitehead. I haven't actually read this book, and I keep saying I want to read it. I should read it during Cancer season. She talks about historical fiction, and of course is about American history and race, the Underground Railroad, and then she also has Nickel Boys, which I've never seen that book. But this book is about a young slave on a cotton plantation in Georgia, an outcast even amongst her fellow Africans. She's on the cusp of womanhood where greater pains awaits. And I'm sure the Underground Railroad is involved with this. Seems like an easy read. Seems like it. I don't know. Did I start the book? I wonder if I started the book because there's a bookmark in it. A lot of people said this book was really good, so I'm curious to read about this book. Now, this book I've talked about in my fantasy book because it does have like a portal involved in it. And this is Outlander, and Outlander is a historical fiction book. You're talking about the 18th century in Scotland and the 20th century, a blend of historical fiction, romance, fantasy, and it's about a nurse who travels back in time. Yeah, really well written. I really like this book, and I love romance books. So another author we have is Taylor Jenkins Reid. She wrote a book called Daisy Jones and the Six. I don't know if that was about in the 70s or 60s, but the one I did read is The Seven Husbands by Evelyn Hugo. This is about like old Hollywood. Another book that I just recently finished reading is Malibu Risings. I'm surprised I didn't grab that one. Oh, here it is. This one is about in the past, but it's more like the 80s. But this one is more Hollywood and features a fictional character, but it's all about the glamour of old Hollywood and how it used to be. Another one is All the Light We Cannot See, and it's by Anthony Doerr, and it's about World War II and France and Germany. This book is about a French girl, and she's blind. I was about to say she's deaf. She's blind, a German orphan boy during the war, and it is amazing. And I think they're like putting a radio together from my memory of reading a book. It's really well written. I mean, I really love this book. So I gave that one a 5 stars for sure. Another book we have that's historical fiction is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Again, another World War II Germany book, and it tells the story of a young girl stealing books in Nazi Germany. I felt like I read this book in high school, but I'm not sure. I read a lot of Jewish Nazi Germany book. English teacher was Jewish, so she made us read all these books, and I feel like I read this one, but I know if I start reading it, maybe it will come to mind. I definitely remember reading The Diary of Anne Frank and Night, but I felt like I read this one too. Another book that I'm thinking of purchasing and reading this season is Pachinko. I see this everywhere, and it's by Min Jing Lee. It's in the 20th century Korea, Japan. It's a multi-generational saga following a Korean family who immigrates to Japan. And another book I have is The Water Dancer. This book is really deep, okay? This is not an easy read, and there's also a lot of symbolism. It's very Cancer season, and it is a historical fiction about slavery. Young Hiram Walker was born into bondage when his mother was sold away. Hiram lost all memory of her, but was gifted with the mysterious powers. Years later, when Hiram almost drowns in a river, that same power saves his life. This is just a really good book, really deep. I do suggest if you read this book, like, it would be great to do it with a group or do it with someone who really is educated on symbolism and themes. I had to do a lot of research while reading this book because I read it on my own. But yes, love this book. Another book, which is a new purchase of mine, is called Take My Hand, and it's by Dolan Perkins Valdez, and it's about the 1970s in Alabama. Inspired by true events, the novel explores exploitation of a young Black woman through force of sterilization. Ooh. Fresh out of nursing school, Silver townsman, and she works at a family planning clinic. She hopes to help women shape their destinies to make their own choices for their lives and bodies. It's giving pro-choice, but history repeats what we don't remember. It literally says that, and we were talking about this. So this is very Cancer energy. Winner of the NAACP Image Award. I really love the cover of this book, but it's called Take My Hand. Another book here is called Homecoming. I still have not read this book. It's by Ya Gyasa, if I'm saying it right. 18th century, it's placed in Ghana. Also America, a sweeping multi-generational saga tracing the descendants of 2 half-sisters in Ghana, one who marries an Englishman and stays, and the other one who's sold into slavery in America. I know I put this in a Gemini book video because you are talking about siblings. From what I remember, there were a lot of names in this book too. I realized that I have a lot of historical fiction books. If you guys see this pile down here, it is ridiculous. I read majority of these, 2 of them from the library. A few of them are brand new. I have 2 that I have not read at all. 3 out of all the books that I have here that I own, I have not read, and I want to read them. So, and they're small books, so most likely they will be read. Those are the book suggestions that we have. Please drop down your favorite historical fiction book, because clearly it is my favorite genre. Or even tell me what book transported you to another era. I remember reading this book called Poisonwood Bible, and I felt like I was in Africa with the family. So what book brought you back into history and it stayed with you? Or even what book reconnects you to your roots? I'm African American. I'm curious to know if you are Persian or if you are Latino. What book really said, oh my gosh, this makes me think of my roots, it connects me to my roots? Put those down because I love to read, okay? And just know that Cancer energy is all about knowing your roots and your history, knowing where you came from, your lineage, even your emotional history or memory. And if you're curious more about your emotional story, I would suggest you astrologically to purchase a chart reading if you've never got that done. It helps you learn yourself, your emotional self, your psychological self, how you deal with your emotions, how you deal with your past, how you deal with your mother, how you deal with your home. 100% suggest a reading. So click the link down below and it'll take you to my website and you can purchase a reading. And that's a wrap on today's dive into Cancer themed historical fiction books. But trust me, there's more where that comes from, because in the next video of Cancer, I'm going to discuss mothers and home. So think your grandmother, think your safety, think protection. All that's going to be discussed in the next video, and you don't want to miss that. Thanks so much for watching. And again, if this resonated with you, give a thumbs up. Don't forget to share this with other people, especially people who love astrology and love to read, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye bye.